Hey guys, welcome back to the live stream. We are back in the shop. It's been a minute. I've been extremely busy, so just getting back into the channel here. Got an exciting build coming up for you. This is Bert and Jane's build. And first off, this is a Ford Transit, and I love the color. This is probably one of my favorite colors of the Ford Transit. And yeah, so we've been working on this one. It's a 148. It's a non-extended. So, yeah, it's a great van to drive around, do van life. We've built a lot of these in the shop. And tonight what we're going to do is go over the flooring system that we're about to install. We're not going to install the whole thing tonight. I need to get in some Killmat sound deadener that I ran out of on another project. So it's coming Friday. We'll have that. That Killmat is the base. It's the foundation that we put down first. And then we go into our pieces of lattice here. So I'm going to explain each of these pieces. I'm actually going to cut these pieces of lattice up tonight and get them laid out and organized. And then what we'll do is when the Killmat comes in, we'll take that off, we'll sound deaden, and then we'll use the marine adhesive to adhere that. And that's a step 1 of 4. So that process, Killmat, the vinyl strips, that is step 1 of the process. The second is the 1-inch polyiso. And actually, we're using something, what do we got here? XPS insulation. So and let me know, guys, if the audio sounds good. It's been a minute since I've gotten all the settings, and I did a bunch of updates before I went live tonight. But this is the Owens Corning Formula NGX XPS insulation 150. What that does is that tells you that the compressive strength, so 15 pounds per square inch. So if you think about it, every little inch of this can withstand 15. Obviously, it's much more when you're walking on it. You get a little bit more surface area. But this is just a great base insulation layer. It's super light, and it's rigid. So this is not soft like mini cell or something like that, foam. It's 1 inch. It doesn't easily compress, which is what we want. Now, what we also do is we put 1/2-inch plywood on top of that, and we build a sandwich. So if you guys have watched the channel in the past, I have a video that is it's called the Ultimate Camper Van Flooring Guide. So if we back up on the channel, so what we're doing to their van is doing this flooring system. So right here, click on that video, and where is it? Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to start off with a floor just like this, which we have right behind us in this van. So it's nice, it's clean, there's no rubber mat, that's gone. We've swept it out, wiped it down, it's ready to go. The next step that we want to talk about is actually planning out where things are going to go in the van. Now, the Killmat is going to go as many places as we want to sound deaden on the floor. I do everywhere. Some people think that's a little overkill, but I think it's, use as much as you can on the floor. There's most of the sound comes from the road noise from the floor up. So as much as you can dampen that, that's what we want to do. And then as we layer everything, start thinking about what we're going to do in the future. So we're going to have in their van, the kitchen galley is actually going to be on the right-hand side of the van. So that gives us a couple things that we need to do. Let me get this foam out of the way. So when we come in here, they're going to have the kitchen galley over here on passenger side, but we want to have a power outlet over there as well as additional electrical such as the dimmer switch and some more items that we have on the list. So the flooring is where I like to actually kind of bake in the wire to the floor, or set it into the floor. So once I do the kill mat, the lattice, and then foam and the floor, right before I do the plywood, we'll come through here with a drywall square and we'll score out the foam in a couple of key places. And I don't have the second camera set up, but you might be able to see what's happening right here. There's two places in a Ford Transit where the corrugations they stop, and there's a seam there's some seam sealer and then a seam plate that goes in there. But what that does is that allows another 1/4 of an inch depth to run some chunky wires. Some flooring companies, like the one I'm about to show you, you can buy this as a whole entire kit. I tend to cut the floor up quite a bit, so it doesn't make sense budget-wise to buy a done-for-you floor, pop it in, and then cut it all up. But these two runs will usually be incorporated in those products to where you can do wire chases or wire runs. So this one right here, pretty much in the middle of the van, is what I go to for those wires. So what would you do? You would use this to run like a 110 volt outlet for the kitchen galley, so you can plug in your induction stove, cooking, stuff like that. Like I just said, the 12 volt dimmer switch would go over here. You know, if you're doing a water heater, for example, you need another 110 volt wire. And I do this because there is a way to do it in the walls. It just involves hole sawing and drilling a lot of sheet metal out that you need to then have like a rubber grommet or something like that. It's doable, but it gets kind of messy. And I've just found you can lay everything out on the floor, seal it up. The wire that we use in our builds is marine grade, so it's a double jacketed cable, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, snagging on something. Obviously, you want to make all the transitions and places in the van nice and smooth. But like I said, when we cut these little pieces out later tonight, I'll probably mention again like where things are going and how we're going to keep some space for some wire runs and don't actually put the lattice all the way through. So let's see. Speaking of lattice, let's just talk about that for a second. This is kind of a little wild idea that I had a couple years ago, and I've used it in every van build since, but this is PVC lattice from Home Depot, Lowe's, and this is actually the decorative piece that goes on porches. So if you have a screened-in porch, and there's a seam where you have two pieces of screen and they're stapled on a screen porch, either cover that up with a piece of wood, or most modern homes are just using this lattice. And it's let's pull this up so that you guys can see what this looks like. So if you type in PVC lattice strips, they're expensive, but what I try to do is if you had an accident in your van, not a car accident, but let's just say you spilled something, maybe your water tank leaked, a gray water tank leaked, something like that, I would be confident that your floor is going to be completely fine because we're using this PVC, so it's not going to rot if moisture gets under there. You can, open the doors, you can air the bottom of the van out because the floor itself is going to be this PVC, 1 inch of polyiso or XPS, depending on what you want to use. And then what I do with the wood material is I actually do a exterior paint that has a mold inhibitor on it. And that's just kind of a double check. So the way I build my vans, I'm confident that if you had a little accident like that, got some water in there, condensation, you're going to be just fine. But this is the product. It is 1.5 by 8 feet lattice molding. And tonight, I guess I'll be able to tell you exactly what I use in a 148 Ford Transit. Sometimes I have to make different cuts and stuff like that, so I might use 12 pieces, 14 pieces. So we'll see tonight what we're going to use. All right. So next, let's talk about the adhesive, which is PL Marine. So it's Loctite PL Marine. One of these days I'm going to order this stuff in bulk, but I pretty much just do it on a per project basis. And so this is what's going to actually be gluing the PVC strips to the metal floor and the foam to the PVC and then the wood to the foam. And what's really cool is if we look up so this is meant for the marine industry. It cures pretty much when it's exposed to air, humidity, and it's used for repairing like fiberglass and stuff when you're on a boat. So if you have like a through hole fitting that is damaged and you need to fix it, you can use this actually underwater, believe it or not. So let's see if I can find this info for you. So this is why I chose to use this. It doesn't dry hard and brittle. It stays elastic throughout its lifetime. So it adheres. Here's what's nice. So I know it's small, but so it adheres to teak, wood, fiberglass, vinyl glass, FRP, which is I think fiber reinforced plastic, metal, gel coat, polycarbonate, most plastics. So if we look at this, we have metal to plastic, and then we have plastic to, or the foam to the wood. So it works really well. I like it. It just tends to be expensive, but if you use, I think the floor, you really need to spend the time and do it right. You really have one chance to do it right. And all right, so Kevin had a good question here, or comment in the chat. Why do you feel you need PVC? Can't you just leave since, or just leave it since you have the XPS and it's okay to span? That is true. However, I've found that I use the PVC because I don't want to take a chance at any type of squeaks or heavy loads on a very small point. And in vans, I find myself either putting a bunch of batteries on one spot, maybe have like an 80-20 post or something that's on the floor. And it just gives me peace of mind that the floor's going to be nice and rock solid. It's not going to creak or bend. And although technically you could get away with it, not using the strips, I'm not saying that you have to use the strips, but in these areas right here where you have a wide run, actually that's great you brought that question up, because you might be asking, what, so show me what these are used for. So this is what they're used for. They're taking up the difference in the floor where the corrugations on the Ford Transit don't exist. And what the corrugations mean is that is these raised ribs on the floor. And what they do is, their job is to provide structure for the van. Van itself since it's unibody and structure for the floor too, so it doesn't bend. So what I do is I glue these in, and so this is pretty much exactly what's going to happen later on in the video. The only thing we're not doing tonight is gluing them down because I have to wait on that kill mat to arrive. So a lot of things I do look like overkill. I just don't like going back and fixing something if it has a squeak later or there's like a soft spot in the floor. Also with Ford Transits, you never know where your soft spots are going to be. So this floor, sometimes I've had vans that come in and every single Ford is different. However the manufacturing is, sometimes these rear ends right here will be tilted up, they'll be tilted down. You'll have to actually make a little bit of space on the bottom. The middle section will be buckled sometimes where it'll have a bubble. I'm not sure, maybe I can walk on it and show you. So this van's not bad. One other van we're working on, this middle part, there's a big hump right here in the middle that pops up and down. So with this process, I solve any potential issues. If you wanted to save some money, you don't have to do that. This is just my process. So you don't have to use it, but so right here we've got, let's see, 3, 6, 9, yeah, I got 12. So I think I need probably 2 or 3 more. Let's see here, I need 1, 2, 3, probably 4 to 6 more, because I also do the corners. But this will be what the layout is. I also do these middle sections. And it can change. If we're doing an in-floor shower pan, it can change if I put them there or not. If we're doing bike mounts, not only will I do these strips, but I'll also get 1-inch aluminum square tubing, and I'll put that underneath or in between the foam and install that so that is a like a fixed mounting point. Now, when I say fixed mounting point, like L-Track would not actually bolt to this. This is so that when you compress the floor, the foam does not compress. Because if you're ratcheting it down on grade 8 hardware, bolts underneath the van, you can squeeze this. So we don't want that to be compressed. So areas that it's going to be compressed like that for L-Track, for example, I'll pop in this 1-inch square aluminum tubing. But that was a great question. All right, so you guys know what the PVC strips do. Let's see here. What else do I want to show you next? So one company I get templates for and stuff like that for my van is it's called ABC Rig. It's the name of the company. And we go into build, let's see here, van type transit, high roof 148. They have a lot of van components. So we just got in the wall system last week for this customer. And so we went with, it's going to be upholstered, but we went with, where is it? Why am I missing this? Okay, looks like they updated the website. That's where I couldn't find it. So we're doing this Transit High Roof 148 wood wall kit. Now, they've updated this website since I've been here last, so give me a second. Oh, it's awesome. They've got these. So this is a wall panel kit that we're going to put in the van and upholster. And you can see here, they've got cutout for windows or no cutouts. And so this van has 2 rear windows, glass windows. So we've got the ones with the cutouts. We'll also be installing a window. Yeah, I'm actually have to call them about these bump outs here because this anyone is the one that we wanted to do. So I'll call them tomorrow. Anyway, so you can go through this whole setup and customize it to whatever van you're building. But this company also, let's get back on the flooring topic. They have these flooring kits, and so they're pre-CNC'd foam flooring. They use this type of foam and cutout. I just like the XPS. It's just what I'm comfortable going with. But this is pre-cut and pre-slotted to go over the ribs and corrugations. I kind of like my method better than this. They may have improved this since the last time that I purchased this product. We put this in Thomas's van. But what I noticed was there were some spots that, because the Ford Transit is not, the floor is never perfect in any van. Every single Ford Transit I've had in this shop, it always has some type of tweak or, their van is really nice. It's very flat. So that's very good. However, if it's not, that system that I'm showing you here on the computer, sometimes there's gaps and you need to put some extra glue to kind of make up the space for that gap. So just be aware of that. Okay, I'm trying to show you guys the, here, let's see, where is it? There we go. So this is what I bought a couple years ago, and I've used it on a bunch of vans. It's a great DIY setup. Their plans and their life-size 2-scale plans, so that you can take these paper plans or print it on thick paper and you can lay them down and then trace the floor. So we're not going to do this tonight. I'll do this off camera tomorrow, but where is the plan? Let's see here. So this is one of the flooring plans. So this is where the foot cutout is, or the step cutout is for the sliding passenger door. And you see I've used this a bunch. But yeah, it's kind of life-size template, and all you got to do is lay it down, trace it. The floor on the edges, it does not have to be perfect. Again, I'll be cutting in wire runs and stuff like that, but yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be, you know, it has to be perfect where the joints are. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to have, let's see here. I had some other projects I was working on today. My plan was to have these all pre-cut for this video, but I'll have to wait till Friday for that. Where is this? Here we go. So this is pretty much a preview of what their floor is going to look like. And this is with the floor glued in, sound deadening, the vinyl strips, and then the foam put on top. And then in the back, this van, for example, had L-track. It had a flatline Vanco pull-out tray, so some supports in the rear for that. There was a in-floor shower, and then a flip and fold seat over here on this side. So this is a pretty technical floor setup. But then the wire runs, you can see how they're kind of, I call it like it's baked into the floor. It's kind of what happens. Once this is in the floor, you glue the wood on top of it and you're committed to that. But there's no reason anything should happen. You know, it's a very protected floor sandwich, for lack of a better word. So that's what we can look forward to in the future video. And then this is the layers. So we've got the sound deadening, the vinyl strip, the foam, the wood, and then whatever floor covering you would like. Like I was saying earlier, the floor is going to come in 3 parts. So what needs to be perfect, and I'll show you this when I install this later this week, is these seams right here. These connecting seams have to be perfect. But there's only 2 of them. The front has to be perfect too, because that is where your trim kit is going to go. So another thing that we're going to be installing for them is the ABC rig floor trim or step trim. So this right here, this kit. So it really cleanly finishes off the rear of the van where you step into the van. Right there. And then for them, we'll actually have the kitchen galley coming over this a bit, which is pretty standard in any van. And then the back panel, it'll just be a custom back panel that we make. So let me see if these photos, let me see if my photos came through. I got some photos that I took of a build that I'm also doing of the power system. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask those. I'm trying to pull these photos up. They're not pulling up. Okay, here's one. Let me see if I can send it again. Okay, there we go. All right, so what you're looking at is another build that I'm doing, and one second. All right, so for Burton Jane's build, I think we're gonna do a Victron system, which I'm kind of moving into. I put one in my van for a recent trip that I did, and it works out really nice. I like the app. I still like EcoFlow and some other products, but you know, as you use products, you kind of start to maybe want to differentiate and use something that you like a little bit more. And so for these guys, we're going to be doing a Victron system just for the peace of mind that if a product needs to be removed and replaced on the road, because they plan on actually traveling far distances and being out off grid for quite a while. So that's what we're doing, is setting that up like that for them. Let me get this other photo. Okay, so this is the setup. I know we're going off floor topic here for a second, but I know Bert and Jane are watching this, so I just wanted to cover some future planning in the same video. So you need to rotate this. Okay, so this is the one that we're putting in Mike's van, and we were just doing something kind of simple, straightforward, easy access, you know, kind of no frills. We weren't going to cover it up and put a box and stuff like that. We just wanted something that was easy to turn on, turn off, access the breakers, and basically just work. And this is what I came up with. You know, like I said, instead of making a fancy box or anything, I just put this together, made sure the wires are all nice and neat, so that it'd be, you know, visually appealing when anyone looked at it or you're looking at it inside the van. I think it looks pretty cool being exposed like that. You can obviously cover it, maybe put some plexiglass or something like that over it. But what I liked about it, it was a kind of an exercise in this like linear part placement, because usually what happens with power system is that everything's like stacked on top of each other. It's not straight out like this. So this system, Bert and Jane's is going to be a little bit, I'm not saying this is not robust, but they're instead, so this one, what we're doing is, so from left to right, we have left is a shore power charger that converts household power from a 110 15 volt or 125 15 volt 15 amp outlet into 30 amps of charging for the battery system. So that's what we're using to plug in. Typically this box and the inverter, which we're using a Renogy inverter, typically those two things would be together, and it would be an inverter / charger. But this one was, it's actually was kind of like low profile and cheaper to do it this route, interestingly. So instead of like $1,000, I think this was, say $300, maybe $600, something like that. So maybe $300 to $400 cheaper. Now, it is cheaper, but does that mean it has the same performance as a built-in inverter charger? Answer is no. So this is 30 amps, but when you plug this in, this is not giving you a direct to the inverter power. So if you went to park your van at an RV park, it doesn't have a switch inside that runs it doesn't have like a built-in transfer switch that makes it bypass and just run off the campsite. It's still running through your batteries with this setup. So that would be the only downside. So you're not getting a direct feed from the campsite. You're kind of getting it indirectly through your batteries in a way. So for Burton Jane, we're going to take this unit and this unit, and we're going to do the combined unit, which is more typical. So the next one here, this is a MPPT 120, and there's two different types of solar chargers. You have the MPPT, so maximum power point tracking. It's just more accurate way of the solar charger kind of figuring out how to charge the batteries with what it's being given. And then there's another option, and MPPT is the most popular. It is a little bit more expensive. This next one is 150. So the 120 on the left and 150 on the right, that just has to do with the maximum amperage from the panels that it can handle. So for Mike's van, for example, we have two 140 watt panels that are going through this guy on the left, and then two 200 watt panels that are going on the right. So you just want to size those effectively. For Burton Jane's setup, they're actually going to have just one, just at MPPT 150, because we're doing the way we're wiring the top of their van. They're going to have different solar panels up there sized differently, but they're going to be combined into one unit. And then on the right, we have two 50 amp DC-DC chargers. These two DC to DC chargers, they're going to take power from the starter alternator battery, which is also being fed by the alternator when the engine's on and you're driving down the road, and then it converts it into a charge to charge your batteries. 100 amps is about the max you want to suck out of or pull from the Ford Transit alternator. 250 amps is what the alternator is rated for on 99% of all Ford Transits, and you want to have at least 100 reserved, or I think it's like 110 or something like that reserved for the operation of the vehicle. So at least about 100. You can kind of safely do that charging with. And then we've got some bus bars over here to put everything together. This is not the final thing. I'm just showing Burton Jane kind of what direction we're going to with the Victron components. So they'll be nice individualized, and we can talk about covering up, or if you'd like to have them kind of exposed so that you can show them off, see them, that type of thing. And then there's nothing inherently dangerous with this being open. The bus bars have a cover on them, so they'll be covered and protected. But other than like a rainstorm coming in, that type of thing, if you have the back doors left wide open or you forget, that'd be the only concern I would have. Yeah, so that is a little bit on the power side. Let's see, what was the other thing I was getting at here? Okay. Let's see what else I wanted to show you guys tonight. Yep, there's our order for the kill mat. Yeah, so we'll take a one last look at these vinyl strips and talk about the flooring, and then we'll see if you guys have any questions. Any questions? We've got quite a people on the stream tonight, so thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. So my van building business is Odyssey Custom Vans. So Bert and Jane are here with me with Odyssey Custom Vans. Vanbuilder HQ is where I show off the vans that I build and teach you about all these products that I'm putting into them, kind of my ideas behind that. One thing that you guys might be interested in is we do have a website. It is vanbuilderhq.com, and we have a couple things on this site. One, we have a DIY van build cheat sheet, which is a list of a bunch of Amazon parts that I recommend and have used. And it's just a great place to kind of look up parts. It's completely free. You just put your name and email address in, hit download, it'll send it right to your inbox. But yeah, it's just my last 3 years of Amazon ordering history. I am working on a 2.0. I've been working on it for a long time, if you guys have been watching the channel, but the 2.0 list is going to have better curated products. This one has a lot of the Renogy items that I used in the beginning of the van building career, but now I've moved from Renogy, I've moved into Red Arc, moved into EcoFlow, Independence kits that are in a couple of my vans, and then now I'm kind of moving into Victron. I'm kind of 50-50. The EcoFlow is so nice. The interface is beautiful, and it's just a really nice install. It's pretty simple for anybody to wrap their heads around, even as a DIYer. The Victron stuff, I think what I'm liking about it is, me personally, when I went on this big trip out west, is I really could just monitor things on a nerdy level, and I like that. So this cheat sheet you guys can check out for the parts, and then if you guys head on over to Vanbuilder HQ, this is our blog. We've got a bunch of blog articles to help you with working on your van. Let me reset the size. There we go. As long as some videos as well. And then last but not least is the camper van conversion blueprint. This is my camper van conversion course that you guys can purchase, and it'll teach you how to get started with picking out a van, design and layout, off-grid power system design, a lot of stuff that I talk about on the channel, but just in a very long form, high detailed presentation that you guys can download. And you just click on it. It's just $50 right now. And it's got so much value for if you're trying to get into this, even before you even start. So if you haven't felt like you're ready to jump into it and you want one more opinion, this whole course will walk you through everything that I think is important for you guys to learn before you take the dive into the whole van building journey. And if you don't want to do that, you can just come on to Odyssey Custom Vans, and we'll build you a custom van. So I'm watching the chat. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to go in here in the back of the van. I'm going to cut a couple pieces to show you, why I'm doing these strips and like why it's important. So let's see the camera angle. So this is just going to be a quick demo of this. We'll get the parts in here and get a better plan of attack for today. We're just wrapping up some other stuff. But we're going to start with this. Let me zoom out, move the camera. I've also got to get a new cable for my camera that I usually have for you guys that shows more detail of the van. This is the camera that I normally use, but I kind of ran over the cable with a floor jack, so I have to get another one of those. All right, so you guys can see this. So, for example, over here we're going to have the Victron system, and then any place we'll have the heater over here, the Webasto, but any other place we're going to cover with the plastic. But for example, on these rear sections, I have to say, this is a good van. This one's very straight. It's probably usually I'm cutting these vinyl strips right about here, and we're not having to do that today, so that's really nice. But for example, up here in the front, what we'll do is we're just taking a pair of 10 snips, and that's what we're using to cut these. The edges are very sharp once you do cut them, so just heads up on that. Over here, we're going to have a seating area for these guys, and this seating area, I'll definitely want it to be reinforced. We're going to also have a drawer system over here that we're going to build, and those things just need to be supported. So that's what we're doing with these vinyl strips, is we're mapping out where those parts of the van are going to be, and then we're making sure that we get those supported. So on this side over here, we're going to have the batteries. So it's quite a bit of weight. Each one of those weighs 60 pounds. So 240 pounds. It's not that much. I mean, for the van, it's essentially nothing. But we want that supported. And any scraps that you would have, we want to keep them, because there's a couple places in here where there's these depressions in the van, and I know it's hard to see. Again, I'll get another camera cable so we can bring a camera in here. But there's some places that we need to reinforce it. Yeah, basically we're just going to keep going through and just tailoring this to the floor system, and then that way when we come back we'll have our pieces cut, and then we'll glue them in, and then we can move on to the next part, gluing in the foam, the wood floor, and then we got our core floor system. And it's really nice because I put that in first because it's just easier to walk around the van, lay stuff out, other than walking on the corrugations and everything. One place that gets forgotten about is the very front of the van where the driver and passenger seat are. There's going to be there's going to be a trim piece from ABC Rig that we purchase, and we actually need to make sure that the floor is supported underneath that, so that when you step from the back of the van to the front of the van, that there's about a 3-inch overhang of the foam and the wood, and that's going to squeak and possibly crack the foam unless it's supported. So just run a strip of PVC there as well, and then you won't have to worry about it. And again, the foam and the wood floor itself, we'll do that cutting off camera with the templates. The next video, we'll just have them, they'll already be pre-cut, and then we'll just be essentially gluing them in live. So some of these places, they look like you can have 2 pieces, but we're actually just only going to do 1. And like I said, I'm already pre-planning over here for this middle section. This is where I'm going to do my wire run for the switches. So I'm bring my phone back here and see if you guys have any questions. Yeah, any place that this doesn't sit down flush, you're not going to put a piece of PVC, because we don't want to make it to where it's too high. Again, save all these little pieces. We're going to use them for these side areas that need to be reinforced as well. But in just a second, you'll start to see a pattern forming where you can visually see how these pieces are making the floor nice and what's a good word? Not even. I'll say there's an example. It's right here. So there's nothing wrong with the van. It's just manufacturing. But this right here, we need to support the floor so that the floor doesn't succumb to this spot right here. So when I get done with this floor install, this won't be able to do this anymore. The marine adhesive and the foam in the floor will make it to where this is not allowed to flex. I knew there was a spot. Couldn't be that perfect. Of course, you want it to be, but it's okay. Another benefit of the marine adhesive is you can put just a bunch of extra on it, and you can. What's nice is when it dries, it's almost like a rubber membrane. So the way that I install this, the way I do it is each layer is evening the floor out to where when I get the final wood on, I very rarely have any noticeable floor transitions. So the breaks in the floor with the lawn seal or like the 2-Tech-2 flooring, it's almost impossible to see the transition, because by doing it like that, the marine adhesive allows it to kind of, it almost like self-levels the floor out for you. Another question that comes up is, you won't see this tonight, you'll see this in the next video, but it's the question of why do I glue down to a glue right on top of the kill mat? And it's just because if you've ever tried, once kill mat is down and rolled on, it's virtually impossible for it to get off the floor. So even if you wanted to take it off the floor, say you messed up and put it in a section, it's gonna be a real nasty job to get that up. So I don't really, once it goes down, this is glued on top of it, and it adheres really, really well. So this Ford factory step, it'll be coming all the way out to make room for the AVC rig powder coated steel step. Again, these smaller pieces, you'll see that they fit really nice into these different corners. One place that's really important to strengthen or put additional support is right here on the entrance. We want this to be nice and flat. For walking around, supporting the kitchen galley, that sort of thing. And these dips right here, I'm using one piece of the vinyl, and then I put that on top. And I typically don't do the kill mat in there just so that the height is not too high. You're really only wanting, the corrugations are about 1/4 of an inch, almost exact. So you want to leave them as factory as you can. Okay, we're at the door. So we're gonna pick up some more of this tomorrow, but right here at the very front, I know it's hard to see. This isn't 4K, so you can probably zoom in later. But right up here at the front is a strip that I'll put. I'm gonna put one that goes the whole distance, but that's a really important place to put the vinyl. And then also these side areas, because they're very tinty. They flex a lot. And let's see, let me put this right here. Yeah, I'm probably going to obviously put a different piece right there, but for tonight's video, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's let you guys look at that for a second. That's kind of the main idea of what this floor, the core support with these strips is going to be. There's also going to be ones all the way back here at the back. And there's a couple things we're going to do. We'll take out these plugs so that it mounts flush. When we get back to the van, the very back, there's this rubber cap right here. And this is access to the spare tire carrier. So you need access to this, so you'll want to translate this hole up through the foam and the wood. Now the templates that I have, they already call out for that. There's a mark that shows me exactly where that's located. But then just for peace of mind, I measure the center to this back piece of the van, and then from the center to this column support here. And then I write it in permanent marker down here. I make a line, and then I write the measurement. And that way, if I goof and I don't cut it out because of something, I can locate it and then drill the hole. What I did for my personal van is I don't cut this out actually. I just use the measurement down here. And then if I need to access it, actually let me take that back. My van, I have a undermount water tank, and that undermount water tank is replacing my spare tire. My spare tire is actually on the back of my van. So I tightened it up and removed the hardware, so I don't need access to it, so I just covered it. So if you've already done that, you can do that as well. Don't cut the hole out, Make sure the floor stays nice with no hole cut out. But anyway, this back section is really good to make sure it has nice reinforcement because, you have these gaps here. I mean, they're almost, 8 inches wide, 10 inches wide, 12 inches wide. And that foam is not going to be able to support that. When you go to walk up in your van, you step on it, it's gonna flex. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. We've got kill mat coming Friday. Got our strips cut out. We probably need 1, 2, 3, 4 more. We'll pick those up. We're going to pre-cut the foam and the wood. And then, the only thing else is to get a bunch of PL Marine. The The marine and the strips, they're probably the most expensive part. The wood and the foam is actually not expensive, but they're excellent products. So they're products that will last a long time for your build. All right, sure you don't have any other questions tonight. It was a little short, and I didn't fully cover what I had planned on the list, but we're gonna get to it into this week for sure. But yeah, guys, that is gonna do it for our live stream tonight. I'll be on here for just a couple more minutes, going over the website to see if there's any more questions that come through on the floor. Let's pick up. Yeah, don't forget to check out the Vanbuilder HQ website with the blog and the course, and then also our YouTube channel, which is doing great. I appreciate it, guys. We've got 4,700 subscribers. Pretty cool. But yeah, we're going to do another big order this week for these guys. And we'll have stuff on its way. We've already got the wall panel systems, and that's going to be upholstered after we test fit it, of course. And then, yeah, we're just going to keep on trucking. We'll have you guys as part of it. And I hope to see you guys in future live stream videos. Yeah, but that's going to do it for me tonight. I'm going to go ahead and head out here. And I appreciate everybody for watching. If you have any questions or comments, put those in the comment section below. Get subscribed to the channel. Share this to anybody who's interested in this content or they're building their own DIY fan conversion. I'd be happy to help. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.